Friends, I'm here with the CEO himself. That's right, get around. It's Isaac Mulcrone, everybody. Now, Isaac, back in 2001, in the olden days, an olden day village in England, you were born in Burton. Tell us a little bit. Do you remember anything about growing up in Burton?
Oh, yeah, loads. So I actually lived outside of Burton again. I lived in a small village called Newhall, which is quite far out from Burton, but that was a major place. So I lived like on the back of a big farm kind of thing. It was a very rural area, streets that are very windy, narrow, houses that look like castles pretty much. So it was very much a like welcome to country kind of thing, like very much like old structures, very historic, very cold though.
Are we talking stone fences? I often see that on television in the UK with fences made of stone, piled up over over hundreds of years. It's this it's a built environment in England.
Some of them were, but my fence is actually a very extravagant black iron fence. So if you imagine with Willy Wonka and the gates to the factory, kind of gate was what we had, and it was something very magnificent.
Are you talking a small primary school there with,
Yeah, very much, very small. That's why I came to Australia, big shock. It was very small primary school, not many people there, no.
So in 2011 you landed in Sydney, but how did you actually get from Newhall or Burton, village of Burton, all the way to Sydney, Australia?
Yeah, so my dad works in design engineering, so he designs the electricity wires that the trains run off. And obviously in England we're more developed in that kind of side than Australia was. So he got offered a job, and he left in August of 2011, leaving me and my family over in England for a wedding. And then we had to fly over, and we've been here ever since.
So we're talking cattle class, first class, how does Isaac travel?
Back then, it was cattle class like the whole way.
Were you misbehaved? You were only just been a young boy on the plane, or were you like sleeping like an angel, or what was happening?
Well, I wasn't sleeping, but I wasn't talking either, so it was kind of in the middle.
It's just one of the most boring zone-out opportunities in the history of the world for a long-haul flight.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. I hate it. I can't even watch movies. Like, I sit there and look out the window the whole time.
There we have it. A teenager or a young boy looking out the window. He's bored out of his brain. But then, in 2013, he comes across to Perth, Western Australia. How did you drive across to Perth, train it, plane it?
Nah, we got a plane, so Qantas.
Yep.
Those jumbo things. Yeah, one of them, cattle class once again, though.
Oh, yeah, squashed in.
Beautiful. Yeah, very
beautiful.
much so.
Now, when you got to Perth, were you already interested in radio, or did that kick off once you landed in WA?
So actually, I had a very different career path back when I was in England and Australia. So in England, for example, I used to drive pretend buses around my playground, and I think until 2014, I was very much into the transport of Australia and bus driving and trains and stuff. But so I wasn't really into anything to do with radio or media. I watched the news, but it was very much I liked buses and trains.
So then, how did radio is now something as your passion. You give a lot of people opportunity. You give people opportunities in Indonesia. You're daily you're negotiating different sort of work setups and working with people and coping with problems, and it's a big workload and you're juggling it. But how did it first spark off the love for the radio communication?
So actually it started off with the first station that I actually worked at, which was 98.5 Sunshine FM. They came down to one of our friends' houses to do an outdoor broadcast from their house, and from that moment I got there at 5:30 before they started at 6, just in awe of what they were doing. They were broadcasting radio outside, which back then I thought, whoa, how do you do that? It was just something unique, and all the fancy equipment, but also they looked like they were enjoying it. That's something that was what made me start. It's something that looked really fun, something that could also help people was the big thing as well.
You're definitely a people person, and not many CEOs friends operating at 17. Started when he was 16, and it's a big responsibility. But I've never seen you stressed. But do you get stressed in the job?
I wouldn't say stressed. It's because I like it so much that I'm quite happy to take on the extra work. But I suppose it can get a little stressful. But I don't show it because I enjoy the stresses kind of thing. Like, I enjoy doing the extra jobs. It's something that takes my mind off other things.
Now, in order to also maybe de-stress or take your mind off things, you like to travel to new places and investigate things, historical things. You're often walking and checking things out. Has there been a recent, point of interest in the city or a national park, whatever, where you've been out and you've just for the love of it gone and checked the place out?
Yeah, I love Kings Park. That place is remarkable. Just walking, it's a long walk. That's a big park. Yeah. But when you get to the bridge, I think it's the glass one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something incredible. I just like walking through there. But also, there's a place in Stirling called the Secret Garden. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, and it's literally just like a national park in the middle of streets. And it's not like it's small, it's actually quite big. And that's just something special, not something that you see in England. We don't see that kind of stuff. But yeah, the Secret Garden in Kings Park. Also down in Como, there's some great pine trees to go explore down there. Those kind of things, really incredible. Also, even in the city, St. George's Terrace, Murray Street, just the architecture, London Court, it's all something that's so remarkable just to look at and to walk through.
Yeah, I agree. They're special places in our capital city. But just talking about Kings Park there, have you actually ever thought of any outside broadcasts from Kings Park overlooking the city, anything like this? Or what would it take? Special permission to operate
It would probably take permission, also insurance, money. It would require quite a bit of money, and insurance is something that we've got to work out. So, yeah, it would take a lot of money to actually get us to broadcast at Kings Park.
Well, we have a young man here, friends, of high intelligence. He likes checking out new places. He gets there on foot and just appreciates it. It's good to see a teenager, only 17 years old, appreciating his natural environment and the city he lives in. He's giving back to other people. I know you've given just, 20 employees at the moment, is there?
I think that's about it, maybe 25, depends if you add Indonesia in. But yeah, around 25 people who actively volunteer and do stuff for this station. And they are the ones who make it. I'm just the one who says, can you do that, can you do that?
Well, and people like you just love the opportunity. It's a very special opportunity that we do have here, and a real privilege to be on the air. But with the Indonesian connection, Isaac, is there any plans that you might visit the people there?
Oh, I'd love to go to Indonesia. Just because one of our managers, Ben, he's Indonesian. Just the people over there, they look incredible. Someone that we want to serve, because we're a Christian station, we want to go serve those people. We definitely want to head over. We want to go next year, but then that might be a bit of a push. But we do want to end up going over there to see the people, to serve the people, and to make something incredibly special for those people, because not all of those people in Indonesia have a luxury life. And we want to give back to people who, they've taken our station in over there. We want to give something back to them and say thank you for listening, thank you for being the people who let us stay on air and let us continue to help them people.
Well, friends, Isaac certainly does give it back to a lot of people, but he has a small issue of being in the middle of ATAR at the moment. He's got his Year 12 coming up next year, so I certainly hope he can focus on some ATAR stuff. He also has his Year 12 ball ladies, just putting a little plug in there. But no, he has ATAR subjects. How do you juggle? You've got the pressures and demands. I know from my own children how critical those demands are. You've got your passion, your love and responsibility for a radio station. It's all happening at the same time. It's you're a very active person communicating with people. How do you have to program the times you study, or do you just get done what you have to do?
Well, because I'm a procrastinator, I try to get it done when I get home, which doesn't always happen. But there isn't really a timetable that I stick to, because everything just comes at me at once. Like, assignments come at once, outdoor broadcasts come at the same time. So really, it's just a matter of prioritizing work, schoolwork sometimes before radio. And obviously it all gets done. It gets done, and it's got to prioritize. But also remember that this station is something that I want to pursue. So I try and put a lot of work into school, but also try and equalize that with the work I do on the station.
Well, you've heard it here for the first time, friends. A big man himself, 17-year-old CEO of Youth Jam Radio, Isaac Mulcrone. He's working, he's operating the radio station, he's doing his ATAR, he's making it happen. Isaac, I'm quite inspired. I just thank you for being able to talk, and thank you for the opportunity to be on the air.
You're more than welcome. It's a pleasure having you here.